Hello everybody and welcome back to Typical City. The transfer window is of course shut now, but the aftermath, the fallout of what went on in the transfer window is starting to seep out into the public domain, namely from Fabrizio Romano, who has given a new name that City did target throughout the summer transfer window, and it's clearly, evidentially now starting to look like City want a new left back. Obviously they have to set up shop now with Gvardiol, which is, I'm more than happy with that, of course, as a first teamer, but is he an out-and-out left back? He is more of a centre-back that's playing left back. Same for Nathan Ake. The other player is Sergio Gomez. Now, he came on against Fulham and was brilliant. He had a 15-minute spell where he comes onto the pitch and he does a lovely bit of skill, beats his full-back, and then beats Tete, I think it was, beats his full-back and fires it across the goal right onto the penalty spot for Erling Haaland to complete his hat-trick. So Sergio Gomez now has a season at Manchester City, and deservedly so. This is his second season, so he's obviously going to get some game time, hopefully with little spells like he did against Fulham. He obviously went to the under-21 Euros as well, which is where he's shone mostly. So ever since I've known the player, that's where I've seen the best of him, in the under-21 Euros, where he played really well for Spain. So I'm hoping that Sergio Gomez can nullify any requirements or any needs for us to go out and spend money on a new left back. Cancelo's departure is obviously a trigger to this, and with him going on loan to Barcelona, that was the negotiation, and that brought up and resurfaced a little part of the negotiation that went on with Cancelo as City inquired about Alejandro Balde, a player that's taking the league by storm. In the La Liga in particular, his stature is growing as a player, getting as many appearances as he did for Barcelona last season. It is clear that they think highly of him. He is contracted until 2024 currently. There is rumours, though, with the same source as well, that's from Fabrizio Romano, who's also suggesting that he might be close to signing a new extension until 2028. But this is... City obviously are targeting a new left-back, clearly, because it was only 2 days ago that we heard in the transfer window that City approached Chelsea for Maatsen, who spent his last season on loan at Burnley. So clearly there's a desire for a new left-back. Pep Guardiola wants a new out-and-out left-back. With Cancelo being gone, he was playing left-back as a right-footed left-back, so even he wasn't an out-and-out left-back. Kyle Walker, he can't switch wings. He can't be played at left back, Kyle Walker, because he is very predominantly right-footed. This brings into question what the plans are. What are the future scope for Pep Guardiola? Where does he see this City team? Because obviously Kyle Walker's role this season has changed. He's far more advanced. And the reason I'm bringing Kyle Walker into the equation is because we could have the same system just flipped, just mirror the same formation of what we're doing and have three centre-backs when we have the ball, with one full-back going down the channel, down the right wing. This season it's Kyle Walker going down the right wing. Fast forward into a year or maybe 2 years down the line, we could have three centre-backs when we have the ball, but a left-sided full-back who's bombing it up and down the left-hand side of the pitch. And clearly there are plans for this. And Kyle Walker's age, bringing into the question how many more years are we going to get out of him? I like to think at least 1 or 2 more years. Maybe next year we won't see him play as much. But this brings into question why we are targeting 2 left-backs, similar style left-backs as well, which is interesting. So I'm going to bring up Alejandro Balde's stats of last season, and I'm going to compare the two as well to Maatsen from an attacking sense and from a defensive sense, because there is differences here between the two players. So Balde last season got 44 appearances for Barcelona, played 3,110 minutes for them, got himself a goal, 7 assists, and dribbles, nearly 2 dribbles per game. That's another factor that City are clearly targeting players who can carry the ball, with Kovacic, even Gvardiol, Doku, and Nunes, all renowned for their ability to carry the ball, and that's something that Pep's obviously targeted this season. Alejandro Balde fits the bill in that regard. Key passes, 0.5 per game. Now, if you look at Maatsen's attacking stats, now bearing in mind one's playing for Barcelona in La Liga, the other stats were playing for Burnley in the Championship. So the Championship is obviously a lesser league, a very different type of league as well, so it's more physical. But they were two teams in terms of where they were in their leagues. One was fighting for the title in their league, and Burnley were fighting for the title in their league. So they were top of their leagues respectively, albeit the quality of the two leagues is different. But Ian Maatsen's last season was 42 appearances, 3,552 minutes played. Goals and assists are impressive. So from an attacking sense, he's good, but he does not carry the ball as well, does he? Look at that, 0.6. With 4 goals, 6 assists, you can't argue with that. 10 direct goal involvements last season. Clearly, he's got an eye for goal and lethal in the final third, but maybe he doesn't get there himself by carrying the ball with 0.6 per game, but 1 key passes per game, which is really good. Now let's look at the defensive side of things, and that's where you start to see the differences a little bit more clearly. Back to Alejandro Balde's defensive stats, from the bottom 4 stats downwards, you look at obviously the appearances and minutes don't change. Tackles, 1.2 per game, which is okay, 0.5 interceptions and 0.4 clearances and 0.5 blocks per game. This is the thing with these stats, is you can't always rely on them. I can't use them as a crutch. You do need to go and watch the players play. You preferably need to watch them play for the 90 minutes because you aren't going to get a full understanding by just looking at these stats. But it gives you an idea of the type of player that they are. But you can always argue the type of team that they're in will interfere with these stats and affect them. Because Barcelona are not known for defending. They keep the ball more often than not, so they're rarely asked to defend. I imagine if you put Alejandro Balde in City's team, the numbers would be probably around the same because the amount of times that they're actually asked to defend is different. Whereas Burnley, Ian Maatsen at Burnley in the Championship, very different numbers. So let's look at his defensive stats. Much, much better. Which indicates 2 things. Obviously, the one I've already mentioned is the fact that the 2 players are in different teams, different leagues. But what I'm getting from Ian Maatsen, and having watched Ian Maatsen more closely, obviously I tune into the Championship and the Premiership a lot more than I do La Liga. La Liga, I'm sort of restrained to highlights. Whereas Ian Maatsen, I saw a lot of him last season playing for Burnley. I've seen glimpses of him playing for Chelsea this season. But the complete package is what I'm getting from Ian Maatsen. Look at that, 2 tackles per game, 1.7 interceptions, which is a major factor. And that's not just defending, that's head defending, that's intelligent defending, that's reading the game effectively. And I love players that can do both ends of the pitch. So you look at 1.7 interceptions, 1.2 clearances, and all of them are above 1, which is fantastic. 1.3 blocks per game. He's obviously had to defend more than he probably would do if he was playing in La Liga, or if he was playing in a Barcelona team. He'd probably have lower stats in that department. But the fact is, he's meeting them. He's being asked to defend, and he's answering those questions when he's asked to defend. So that's a sign that he is the complete package. And personally, I would always go for the complete package. Albeit Alejandro Balde, you look at that name, and he's an attractive player from the fact that he's coming from Barcelona. He's much more of an attacking player, a flair player, speed. He's quick, really quick, but Ian Maatsen is not slow. He's extremely quick himself. He obviously got 4 goals and 6 assists last season, so he's dangerous in the final third as well. Ask him to defend, he can do it. Can Alejandro Balde defend? Can he be asked to do those same questions? And these 2 players in particular that I think they are showing the differences in the defensive side of the game, which for me makes Ian Maatsen the more attractive prospect. Age is a part as well. One's 19 and one's 21 years old, so Ian Maatsen's got age on his side, 2 more years of experience under his belt compared to Balde. But ultimately, I always call to Cancelo and Trent Alexander-Arnold, those types of players that when it comes to defending, they're almost a luxury. You know, you carry them as the team. They're not that good defensively. Going forward, incredible. You know, I prefer the type of players like Reece James, for example, who can do both ends of the pitch, and why I think he's probably, alongside Kyle Walker, the best right backs in England right now. In terms of English starting right backs, I do think Reece James would probably start ahead of Walker if he was fit. But this is why I think we should be considering Ian Maatsen ahead of Balde. Maybe Pep could mould him into a defensive-minded player and teach him the defensive side of the game because he is so young. But personally, I'd go for Ian Maatsen out of the 2. But this is a clear indication that City want a left-back. This is the second rumour now of a technical left-back. With Sergio Gomez in the team, I think Pep has his doubts. He's stuck with him. He's given him another season. Maybe he could flourish. Maybe. I have my doubts defensively because now it's like, well, Sergio Gomez is a winger because I don't think he can defend at all. Pep doesn't trust him to defend because he obviously brings him on and plays him left wing against Fulham. He didn't play left back, and I don't think he ever will play left back. Again, I don't think he's good enough at defending, whereas these 2 players can do both ends of the pitch. At least Ian Maatsen definitely can do both ends of the pitch, which for me makes sense, but may spell bad news for Sergio Gomez, unfortunately, which is sad, really, because I'd like to see him give him a chance. He's getting his chance. He's going to be playing until the end of the season, but we'll see how far and how many chances he can grab and prove himself this season. But Blues, what do you think about these two links? Are you happy with the fact that we're clearly targeting a new left-back? And what do you think of Sergio Gomez? Does he deserve a second chance? And how much do you think he's going to be able to take that opportunity this season? And will he do enough in a City shirt this season to fend off interest for players like Ian Maatsen and Alejandro Balde? Get your comments in below. I'd love to hear them. Like and subscribe. Typical City is the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.